Itachi is one of many tragic heroes in the Naruto series. Despite his name being a direct translation of the Japanese word for weasel, his honor and heroics go down in the anime history books as one of the most popular and well-received anti-heroes in the world, beaten out by only Vegeta because people know him better. Itachi is still better than Vegeta though. Itachi's story is the story of a man who has been screwed all of his life. A pacifist by nature, he was forced into war by duty. His Sharingan cursing him with the hatred of the Uchiha. Not hatred from within though, the deep-seated hatred within his comrades. Had to watch his best friend die, had to kill his entire clan, had to alienate himself from his home and force his little brother to hate him after staining his hands with his own parents' blood. Do you think it ends there? Nope. Itachi is diagnosed with a terminal illness that killed him at the young age of 21 years old. Among that, Sasuke didn't even get to kill him as he had planned. Sasuke never knew what Itachi was going through, not until it was too late. Itachi is a tragic hero, one who served his village and forsook everything after his little brother was held hostage by Danzo. He lived quick, died hard, and left behind a beautiful corpse, or so the fangirls tell me. Itachi was truly an interesting character, one who tried to look at the bigger picture, realizing that had he not done what he had, a new world war might start when the Uchiha attacked Konoha. He and Shisui had a plan, but Danzo, the low-key villain of the series, steps in and says, "Hippity, hoppity, your corneas are now my property." Despite all of this, he had to deal with a terminal illness, one that we never really learned the details of. I'm sure there are many a doctor or Naruto fan who thinks they're a doctor who can tell you what it was, but it was never explained, and thus, his young life was cut short. He ended up perishing before he could really do much of anything, but I do sometimes wonder what would have happened had Itachi survived. And so, much like with Kurama, I'm going to do one for Itachi now. We're going to follow the series from his point of view, but we're going to alter a few things slightly by removing his illness just to see what, if anything, will change. So sit right back and try not to fall into a genjutsu because we're going to get into another long video. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Double check that you are still indeed subscribed, because we are noticing that YouTube is unsubscribing some users at random. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. Itachi was born to Mikoto and Fugaku Uchiha during the years of the Third Shinobi World War. His life was relatively peaceful though, despite his father being off fighting. At some point, Fugaku lost a close friend in the war, which awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan, though he kept this a secret. In the waning days of the war though, he brought his 4-year-old son Itachi onto the battlefield and showed him a mountain of corpses. Itachi looked upon this and was deeply affected. It planted within him a deep and powerful hatred of war as a whole. It was at this moment that Itachi began to develop pacifistic views. He hated war and the death it brought, and only wanted to preserve life. Itachi was gifted in every sense of the word. Not only was he a strong and talented warrior who could easily accomplish many jutsu at a young age, but he was also intelligent. Itachi loved to read. He loved to read history books, not just books on the Uchiha clan or even of Konoha. He enjoyed reading books on the history of the whole world. Itachi's whole goal was to one day become the Hokage so he could stop all wars. This led to him pushing himself beyond anything any normal child should do. If only I can grow strong enough, I can become the Hokage, and when I am Hokage, I will stop all the fighting, he believed. As intelligent as he was, though, he was naive. He was hopeful, and to this end, he trained and learned tirelessly, and approximately a year and a half later, Itachi learns that his mother's pregnant. He quickly guesses the baby's gender. He's heavily curious, but he's also extremely excited at the prospect of being an older brother. Itachi continues to train and grow stronger, recognizing that doing so will inch him closer to his hopes and dreams. It isn't much longer after this that baby Sasuke is born and Itachi does gain his little brother. However, he also gains a big brother soon after, as a kid 3 years his senior, Shisui Uchiha, offers to train with Itachi. Itachi is ecstatic to have another person to train with, but even further, he begins to have far more fun with Shisui. He slowly begins to admire him and view him as a bit of an older brother. Together the two train. Itachi would later return home. His parents had to head out to do some things, and Itachi was left alone and in charge of his little brother. He loved him so much he would carry him around and keep him close always. But a loud sound and the sound of screaming caused attention. This night just so happened to be October 10th. I'm sure we all know what this means. The Ninetales was sucked out of Kushina and used as a weapon to attack Konoha. Itachi watched on and sheltered at home. Was he worried? Yeah, but what was truly on his mind was keeping his baby brother safe. He kept him close. He also worried about his parents quite a bit, but he also trusted in their abilities. He knew what kind of people his parents were. Fugaku was the clan head of the Uchiha, and their mother was also a skilled shinobi before she settled down to become a housewife. Itachi sheltered in place until his mother came to get he and his little brother. Itachi was so relieved to see her, but at that moment, a massive bit of debris came raining down from the skies above. Itachi, in a moment of terror at the thought of losing his mother and baby brother, quickly destroys the debris, displaying the incredible strength he had developed from his intense training. It was later revealed that the Uchiha had been sidelined during the attack to aid in protecting and guarding the border. The Uchiha were suspected of being the ones who would release the Ninetales, and so were not permitted to enter the battle to stop it, even if doing so would have saved the lives of many. The Uchiha, after this, by the advice of Danzo Shimura, were moved to the outskirts of the village. The distrust and what they believed to be intentional persecution awakened within the Uchiha the curse of hatred, the feeling of being picked on and others being shown favor when they were reviled. This caused discontent within many Uchiha and served as the seeds to a greater conflict that would change Itachi's life forever. Itachi, on the other hand, was never one to be offended by this. After all, he knew that this action was taken by the Hidden Leaf village in an attempt to safeguard everyone. Itachi, to a point, began to grow tired of the Uchiha pride that caused the clan to hate Konoha over these actions. The next year after, when Itachi was 6 years old, he was sent to the academy where he could officially start his career as a shinobi. Itachi was highly skilled and highly intelligent. He would learn any lesson passed to him and was viewed as a prodigy. This gained him much admiration from girls, a bit of jealousy and ire from other boys. Much like his little brother would be in the future, Itachi was the class heartthrob. He was the one that was viewed as Mr. Perfect. However, unlike his little brother, Itachi was never a dark person. He was kind, caring, and had an open heart. And despite abilities and quick learning, he remained a humble boy. He never wanted to make a single person feel bad about themselves. He was also slightly shy, keeping away from most people unless he had to. Despite his popularity, he had few friends. Not because he couldn't get them, but because he meant to keep his distance from them. He was often known to share complete and unbiased criticism to his peers, though this was never out of ill intent, but instead to help them grow. This was not often received well, but at the same time he wasn't wrong either. Itachi was, more often than not, correct in his assumptions. He tended to receive constant admiration from his female classmates who all vied for his attention. However, this was generally met with a cold indifference, as Itachi wasn't really ready for that kind of relationship. There was only one girl that ever caught his eye, and that was Izumi. Initially, Itachi was very cold to her as well, despite her best attempts at getting his attention. But after discovering that she possessed the Sharingan, he quickly grew interested in her. She revealed to him the story of how she got it. Despite having Uchiha blood and the eyes of an Uchiha, Izumi and her family tended to live separately from the clan. The reason for this was that her father was not an Uchiha, but her mother was. They lived a happy life, but when the Ninetales emerged from the night to wreak havoc on the village, her father fought to protect her. He sadly lost his life in defense of her. It was her anger at herself and the guilt of being too weak to save him that caused her to awaken her Sharingan. Itachi listened to this story silently. She had been through a lot, and in the time that Itachi was fearing for his family, she had lost hers. He lamented this silently. Izumi would continue to say that she and her mother had rejoined the Uchiha clan compound later on. Itachi would continue to attend the academy for 4 months, where his high scores on tests caused him to be viewed as easily gaining level. And so, after another month had passed, Itachi was allowed to graduate from the academy. After graduating, he's assigned to his first team, which excites him. He's assigned to Team 2. Led by Yuki Minazuka, Itachi joins his fellow teammates Tenma Izumo and Shinko Inari. They perform very well during their first years thanks to Itachi's involvement, which gains them much recognition. His teammate, Tenma Izumo, seems to hate his ever-loving guts, and Shinko insinuates that it's because he's jealous of Itachi, which Tenma refutes. He does, however, train hard to become stronger than Itachi, something that never happens. Despite the way he's viewed, Itachi remains humble, never thinking higher of himself than he should. It's also during this time that Itachi, due to finally having a rank as a shinobi, is allowed to attend the meetings at the Naka Shrine, led by the elders of the Uchiha clan, including Itachi's own father, Fugaku. There he hears of the plans to launch a coup d'etat to overthrow Konohagakure's leadership. He's both shocked and mortified, a sentiment that is shared by his friend, Shisui Uchiha. Itachi also continues to foster his relationship with Izumi, with them continuing to walk home together. On one such occasion though, as Itachi and Izumi walk home, she asks Itachi what it was that happened at those secret meetings at the shrine, and Itachi informed her that he could not tell her, and asked her kindly not to ask about it again. Despite all of this, Itachi continues his work. However, it's during a special mission in which they're to guard the Fire Daimyo's procession across the Land of Fire that things take a turn for the worse. A masked man appears attempting to assassinate the Fire Daimyo. During this attack, most of the guard that protects him is put to sleep, with only Itachi and Tenma himself being able to fend off the genjutsu. Tenma states that they must launch a counterattack. Itachi states that they must be careful and probe the man and his defenses before recklessly attacking. They need to form a plan, but Tenma ignores him and goes straight into an attack. His attack passes straight through the masked man via Kamui. The man would then berate Tenma for his mistake and would ruthlessly kill the child. Itachi was filled with terror and sorrow, but before the masked man could finish off Itachi, Kakashi shows up, causing the masked man to flee from his presence. The death of Tenma strikes Team 2 really hard. Itachi's devastated from the loss of not only his teammate, but from his friend. If only Tenma had listened to him, maybe he'd still be alive today. The death of Tenma causes Itachi's Sharingan to develop. As hard as Itachi takes this, Shinka takes it even worse. Finally understanding the reality of being a shinobi, Shinka decides to forsake the path of the kunoichi and leaves Team 2 forever. This left Itachi alone with Yuki-sensei for a time until two new, fresh replacements arrive to fill out Team 2's ranks, Yoji Aburame and Himiko Tsukukaze. The team only remains for a few months though, as Itachi would later leave the team to become a chunin. Itachi by this time is 8, and his ability to read situations as well as his grasp on the world and the politics of the world allows him to see how things transpired and where they led, giving him reasoning on par with a Hokage. However, it also allowed him to predict the way things might go in the future. This became an even heavier burden with each passing Uchiha clan meeting, as Itachi recognized that if the Uchiha clan overthrew Konoha, it would eventually lead to a 4th Shinobi World War. And having witnessed the bloodshed of the last, he did not want to have to ever see that again. In the anime, Shisui takes Itachi on a 3-part training exercise in which they interrupt a battle between the Anbu and Root. After Root is driven off, Shisui tells Itachi of the importance of one's own morals, and upon viewing a situation from every viewpoint as opposed to only your own. It's at age 10 that Itachi takes the Chunin exams all by himself and is promoted. When Itachi turned 11, he was accepted into the Anbu. This brought a lot of pride for the Uchiha clan as well as to Fugaku Uchiha, who was pleased with his son's efforts. He also planned to use him along with many other Uchiha clansmen as informants for the Uchiha within the Anbu, as Shisui decided to become a double agent, informing 3rd Hokage Hiruzen personally of the Uchiha's plot. It was during this time that Itachi appeared to be the primary focus of Fugaku, with poor little Sasuke being neglected, being forced to grow within his brother's shadow. As sensitive as Itachi is to the feelings of others, he could not stand for this. Despite being tired from his work and constant training, Itachi would make time for his baby brother. Itachi loved Sasuke, and it hurt him to see him neglected by their father, and so he stepped in to be that strong, masculine figure in Sasuke's life, and took every chance he could to spend time with his little brother, even neglecting requests from his father just to do so. The two of them would go on adventures and make up self-assigned missions. Sasuke wanted to badly be a shinobi like Itachi was. Itachi would continue to train, and Sasuke would just come and watch. Sasuke wanted desperately to train as well, but Itachi would just give him a boop on the forehead and promise to train him later. Of course, this never happened, and the training Sasuke thought that they were doing was merely fun and games. It was during this time that Itachi was assigned to Team Ro within the Anbu, working with Tenzo, who you might better know as Yamato, and Kakashi Hatake. Itachi was surprised at Kakashi for possessing a Sharingan despite not being an Uchiha. He was also astounded by Kakashi's proficiency with it, having copied and mastered many jutsu using it. They were assigned many missions, among which was a mission to the Land of Woods. In this mission, Konoha had hoped to forge an alliance with the Land of Woods by exchanging secret scrolls as a sign of trust. However, before the process could be completed, the Land of Woods' own version of the Anbu, the Prajna group, betrayed Konoha's Anbu, attempting to kill them and escape with both scrolls. Team Ro would engage with the Prajna group, killing almost every single member. Itachi would continue to work with Kakashi and Team Ro, where they would forge deep relationships. However, when Itachi was 13, he was promoted to captain himself under Danzo Shimura and allowed to have his own team. This pleased Itachi's father, who encouraged him to continue climbing the ranks for when the coup inevitably came. Itachi couldn't bear it though, and he too eventually became a double agent for 3rd Hokage Hiruzen alongside Shisui. Time pressed on, and despite his attempts to quell his clansmen's wrath, the march towards war continued on. Itachi slowly became more and more distant from the Uchiha clan, becoming angrier with them on their march toward darkness, and hating every step along the way. Eventually, it became clear that there was no other choice, and Shisui planned to use the ability of his Mangekyo Sharingan, Kurama Tsukami, to cast a subtle genjutsu over all of the clan heads to force them to deviate from their course. However, root member Sugaru, or maybe you would better remember him as former Team 2 member Yoji Aburame, informed Danzo of the plan, and Danzo, believing such a plan could not work to stop the Uchiha, and further believing that Shisui would inevitably use this technique against Danzo, chose to have Shisui assassinated. Yoji then proceeded to poison Shisui with his insect, weakening him. Then Danzo appeared, planning to take his Sharingan for himself. Despite being poisoned, Shisui maintained the advantage and nearly defeated Danzo. However, Shisui did not know that Danzo could use Izanagi, and Danzo managed to get the upper hand, taking Shisui's right eye. Shisui managed to escape the battle where he met up with Itachi, wounded and dying. Itachi cared for his friend, but Shisui had already made up his mind. He wrote a suicide note that explained that his clan was wrong for attempting a coup, and that they would never understand the peace and reconciliation that he sought. He wrote it in such a way as to make it seem like he had destroyed his own Sharingan before death, but in truth, he took out his left eye and gave it to Itachi, which Itachi would later implant in a crow. Shisui said his last goodbyes to Itachi, leaving him with a smile as he flung himself into the Naka River, drowning himself. Itachi, destroyed by the sorrow and guilt for not being there when Shisui needed him the most, ended up awakening his own Mangekyo Sharingan, which was partially Shisui's plan. After this, Itachi's demeanor grew darker and more distant. A rumor began to circulate that Itachi had been the one to kill Shisui. Some members of the clan the day after accused Itachi to his face, stating that he had killed Shisui himself and staged the suicide. Itachi lost his composure and beat the members brutally. Itachi's mind continued to spiral into hopelessness, consumed in anger and depression. He noticeably changed, even to the point that Sasuke noticed. At some point in time, Itachi would attend another meeting at the Naka Shrine, as the coup's planning entered its final stages. Itachi would speak out, trying to reason with the clan's members, but was labeled a traitor to the clan and expelled from the meeting. Itachi would eventually confront his father in the basement of the Naka Shrine, who revealed to Itachi that he also possessed the Mangekyo Sharingan and could read parts of the stone tablet. Itachi tried to warn his father, begging him to change course before it was too late, but Fugaku instead countered, trying to get Itachi to accept his way of thinking, telling him of their plan to make use of the Nine Tails, telling him instead that he could restrain the higher-ups and cause a bloodless coup. Itachi was too smart for that though and refused. He would return to the third Hokage and report the imminent threat of revolt by the Uchiha clan as well as their plans. It was then that Hiruzen began to consider ways to negotiate and quell the conflict. However, Danzo had zero trust in this plan and believed it best to merely destroy the clan in its entirety. He issued an ultimatum to Itachi in which he could either support his clan and watch them all perish, or he could destroy them himself and save his little brother. Itachi made the fateful decision to save Sasuke, the last thing on earth that held any meaning for him. Itachi was racked with guilt for the actions he had yet to take, villainizing himself and believing that Shisui could and would never forgive him for what he planned to do. His heart ached with the weight of this, and he felt as if he might be crushed by the pressure. Any lesser man would have been, but Itachi recalled something his father told him. He remembered being told not to let anyone else decide how he would live his life, and so he resolved himself. But he knew that the chances he could destroy the entire clan by himself were slim. It was then that he noticed the same masked man who had killed the fire daimyo and Tenma skulking about the village. Not exactly sure how it could be, Itachi began to believe that this man to be none other than Madara Uchiha himself, somehow returned from the grave to seek vengeance against the village hidden in the leaves. Itachi would approach Madara and attempt to knock out two birds with one stone. He offered Madara the chance to get revenge on the Uchiha clan for betraying him, and offered to help him to do so, but only if he would spare the village. Madara would agree to this. Later in the night, Itachi and Madara, actually Obito Uchiha in disguise, would enter the compound. Itachi had left it to Madara to destroy the military side of the Uchiha, while he himself would eradicate the civilians. With a heavy heart, he moved toward Izumi's home, whom he planned to make his first victim. He knocked out her mother and made his way to Izumi's room. Itachi truly cared for her. He loved her. In another life, he might have proposed to her and made her his wife, but not in this world. And so, when Izumi confronted him, he decided that for her sake, he would create such a world for her. Using the powerful genjutsu that his Mangekyo Sharingan afforded him, Tsukiyomi, he cast a spell over her that would cause her to experience a powerful illusion that afforded her 70 years of life, in which she would go on to become a powerful shinobi, making it to Chunin. In this world, Itachi spilled out his heart and hopes and dreams to this girl, proposing to her. She would eventually marry Itachi and the two would live in peace. Eventually she would bear his children and live to a ripe old age, eventually growing ill as her time ran out. Itachi would take care of her and nurse her until she succumbed to her illness. It was then that she would wake up only to realize that the life that she had lived in the genjutsu had only lasted a second. Itachi killed her, with her last words to Itachi being words of appreciation. Itachi was hurt by this, but like the trooper he is, he moved on. Moving through the village, he slowly killed off any Uchiha he found, eventually making it home to his own house. But Fugaku and Mikoto were still there. They already knew of what was going on, why, and who it was. Itachi entered the home, and in a show of support for their son, they never fought back. They allowed him to kill them, which he did. However, it was then that Sasuke walked in on the scene. Having returned from his time in the village, Sasuke had noted the death in the streets and had come home to tell his parents. It was then that he found Itachi standing over their bodies. Sasuke asked him what happened and what it meant. Itachi could not bring himself to let Sasuke walk down this path or know exactly why he was doing what he was doing. He would then begin to hide the truth from Sasuke, opting to manipulate his feelings and cause him to hate him. He wanted the very best for Sasuke, and so there he placed Sasuke under the Tsukiyomi to force him live through his parents' murder over and over again in mere moments. Sasuke begged him for some explanation, and so Itachi lied and said that it was because of his strength and his inability to find anyone worthy of fighting that he killed everyone. He claimed that he would kill Sasuke too, but he was so weak that it didn't even matter, and it was just a waste of time and effort. He discarded Sasuke. His true intentions were to cause Sasuke to hate him, which would eventually cause him to grow into a powerful shinobi who would eventually kill him. He knew that, given that Itachi was about to become a new villain of the Leaf on par with Madara, that whenever he let Sasuke kill him, Sasuke would become the next hero of the Leaf, a hero on par with a new Hashirama Senju. Sasuke would then attack Itachi for the betrayal, developing his own Sharingan. Itachi would knock Sasuke away. All of this mounted up on his feelings. He loved Sasuke more than life itself and would have died for him, and to a point he's doing so now. Not only is he having to kill everyone he loved and everything that was important to him, but he had to torture his little brother and make him feel like trash and an unwanted child. Was that what caused the tears to well up in Itachi's eyes? Or was it that being hated by the only person left that he loved had caused him to lose his composure? Perhaps even Itachi didn't know. Itachi then proceeded to leave the compound, leaving Sasuke behind. After this, Itachi formed a clone crow and disguised it as a root member. Even after everything that had happened, after Shisui, after the threats on Sasuke, after forcing Itachi to kill the Uchiha clan, Itachi believed Danzo had the best interests of Konoha at heart and trusted him to protect Konoha. However, personally, Itachi hated his guts and didn't trust him as far as he could throw him. He told Danzo that he had better keep his side of the deal and protect Sasuke, or else he'd leak all the sensitive information he had on Konoha and the other villages. After that, Itachi met with Hiruzen and told him he had completed the mission. Hiruzen was disappointed in this outcome. Itachi asked a favor from Hiruzen, asking him to watch out over Sasuke, which the third vowed to do. Of course, we all see that the third's idea of watching over a kid is just giving them a check and an apartment and then saying adios, much like he did with Naruto. And that is what he did for Sasuke too, but that didn't stop Sasuke from returning to the compound to live, and so that vow to protect him was more like a vow to do nothing and watch him join Orochimaru. Hiruzen was a good man, but a poor leader. In fact, I'm slightly tempted to retract the good man part. I mean, I know he's busy and everything, but at least do what you promised to do instead of just letting him go. I mean, couldn't Hiruzen make like a Konoha orphanage? Or maybe foster him? I mean, considering how many orphans are in Naruto, you would think that maybe somebody besides Kabuto would decide to open up a home for orphan children? I mean, damn. He failed at everything. Failed at leading a squad, failed at leaving the country, failed at saving the Uchiha, failed to keep his promises to Minato and Itachi, and then dies in a ditch, only managing to take Orochimaru's hands with him, which doesn't amount to much in the grand scheme of things, considering that Orochimaru's whole thing was jumping bodies. So Hiruzen really failed. After this, Hiruzen gives him a new mission: infiltrate the Akatsuki. Itachi then leaves the village, but there's one thing he can't help but do. Maybe it was the anger at everyone who forced him to do what he had to, or perhaps it was the anger at what had happened with Shisui. Itachi knew that Yoji Aburame would still be following him under the orders of Danzo as he left the village. He called out to Yoji, and he appeared just as he believed he would. He would then use his Tsukiyomi to paralyze him, and then, when he was at his mercy, Itachi would use his second ability, which he had yet to display. He used Amaterasu on him, burning him alive and killing him. A traitor, a murderer, a villain, a terrorist, killer of fathers and mothers, killer of lovers, rejecter of brothers. These were things that weighed heavily on Itachi's mind, and were things that the entire village now knew him as. Not even his old comrade Kakashi knew the truth about him, but as he escaped, he was attacked by the former squad that he had once led under orders of Danzo. In the end, Itachi cast them all under a powerful genjutsu and forced them to kill each other. Itachi would eventually join the Akatsuki, where he'd be paired with Juzo Biwa, one of the legendary 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist who had gone rogue and joined the Akatsuki himself. These two went on many missions together, and despite being here to investigate the Akatsuki for Konoha's sake, he had a healthy respect for Juzo. In one particular mission, they were in the Land of Water and were attacked by Hunter Nin and the Mizukage, Yagura Karatachi. In this battle, the Mizukage Jinchuriki was able to get the upper hand by utilizing his version 2 chakra cloak and using his tailed beast ball against them. This led to Juzo being mortally wounded. However, Itachi was able to escape through use of his Amaterasu. Juzo lamented that he had to die in the Land of Water, but took solace in his blade, which he carried with him into battle. Itachi gave him the shattered Kubikiri Bocho, which he held onto until his death. Then, as a sign of respect he had for the man, he buried Juzo with his blade. However, not everyone in the organization was as honorable as he. Orochimaru, the partner of Sasori, was surprised when Itachi joined the group. With his lust for the Sharingan insatiable and knowing Itachi to be the last Uchiha, Orochimaru would attack Itachi, hoping to take his body. However, Itachi overpowered Orochimaru and drove him off. Itachi never did have much of a high opinion for Orochimaru. He resented the way he treated human life in times past, though he did surmise he wasn't anyone to judge these days. When you kill your own clan and your family, how can you judge a man who has done scientific experiments on others for the sake of the village? Regardless, he still planned to bring revenge down upon Orochimaru's head and was going to kill him until Kabuto stepped in to save his mentor, escaping with him, leaving the Akatsuki permanently. Itachi would get a new partner who would also be a former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. Honestly, Kirigakure has a problem. They keep losing their swordsmen. Juzo, Zabuza, and now even Kisame. They really need to consider a better vetting process, but then again, the Blood Mist Village isn't really the kind of place to live, is it? After the loss of Orochimaru, Kisame and Itachi would be both sent to recruit Deidara, whom they would strong-arm into joining them through battle. Deidara was humiliated by his defeat at Itachi's hands and vowed to destroy Itachi later. He also helped to recruit Hidan as well. Itachi seemed to be loyal to the Akatsuki, and he was a valuable asset, but still his heart remained in the village he could never return to and the brother that he had forsaken. When Pain heard that Orochimaru had attacked Konoha, Itachi volunteered to go, but this was out of his own self-interests, especially to check up on Sasuke, whom he had left behind. Now, normally, it's some point around here that Itachi contracts a terminal illness which stunts his power quite a bit and robs him of his life later on. But for the sake of seeing how this world will play out with him still alive, let's erase that from the plot for now. Let's see what a healthy Itachi can do. Itachi and Kisame make their way to Konoha where they manage to sneak in. Itachi is pleased to find that Sasuke is still safe, but is halted by Kurenai and Asuma. They prepare to kill them, but Kakashi shows up to aid them, and manages to display his knowledge of the organization and its goals. Itachi is surprised by this slightly, but only so much as he can't put anything past Kakashi. The two duel with their Sharingan, casting genjutsu after genjutsu in an attempt to defeat the other without fighting. In the end though, Itachi manages to cast Kakashi under Tsukiyomi, and is further surprised by how he could even stand up after that. Of course, he knew Kakashi was tough, but he didn't know he was that tough. Before they can kill anyone though, Might Guy shows up and Itachi and Kisame find they must escape. They decide to track Naruto. Itachi intends this to be a sign to the Hidden Leaf that Akatsuki plans to capture tailed beasts, and they eventually find him in Shukuba town. They distract Jiraiya by placing a beautiful woman under genjutsu to lure him away, but good old Jiraiya knows that something is too good to be true, and he rushes back to defend Naruto. They enter a battle and Jiraiya makes room with his toad summons. It isn't too long before Sasuke shows up to attack Itachi. However, he's still far too weak to do anything, and Itachi still has some work to do before he can indulge their final confrontation. And so he shatters Sasuke's arm and casts him under Tsukiyomi once more to force him to witness the death of his parents for days on end. This isn't meant to hurt Sasuke, just to renew and empower that flame of hatred within the boy to cause him to grow faster and farther. Itachi later retreats back with his partner for a time, but it isn't long after that Itachi hears that Sasuke has left the village to join Orochimaru, so yeah. Itachi is starting to reconsider a few things. He was beginning to think that he had pushed him way too far, and begins to wonder if it would have been better not to say anything at all. His plan for Sasuke to become Konoha's hero was going up in smoke, because now Sasuke was a rogue shinobi. Itachi would continue to do some work through the time of the time skip between Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. Now, for those of you who may wonder what Itachi might have been doing during this time, I don't have super extensive knowledge of the Naruto novels, though I would kill a whole clan just to get my hands on Itachi Shinden Book of Bright Light and Dark Night. I do know this, however. Itachi often, during his time in the Akatsuki, made his way to a place in the land of medicine known as the Howling Wolf Village. There, they had a sort of miracle medicine known as Kotaro. It was actually a pharmaceutical that could produce genjutsu within its user. This genjutsu, somehow, I don't know the specifics, managed to work to heal people. It came in three forms: refined, medium, and coarse. The refined and medium came with no side effect, with medium only gaining side effects if it was not used in moderation. Coarse had some pretty gnarly side effects, such as temporary blindness, among other things. Itachi tended to take the coarse variant in the original timeline to aggressively fight whatever the sickness he had. He used it as an eye drop, but I also think it served another purpose, as Sasuke himself came to this village to procure some in the time frame after his battle with Itachi, when his Mangekyo Sharingan awoke. For Sasuke, he used it to fight off the irritation he felt in his eyes. So to a point, I still feel like, even if Itachi isn't sick, that he would go here to procure some medicine to stave off the blindness caused by using the Mangekyo Sharingan so much. So for anyone who wants a tidbit about Itachi during the time between Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, have that. Moving on, the next we see of Itachi is during the Kazekage rescue mission, in which Itachi uses a body double that was under genjutsu to fight Kakashi and Naruto to give Deidara time to escape. This body double is easily defeated by a Rasengan. It's after the capture of the Four Tails that the Akatsuki reconvene. As the sealing of the beast into the ghetto statue gets underway, they are informed that Sasuke has killed Orochimaru. I can just feel the pride Itachi's feeling right now. Tobi and Deidara are sent to get Sasuke, but reports come back that all three have been killed. Kisame comforts Itachi, but Itachi isn't worried. He knows Sasuke isn't dead. As time passes, he's proven right, and he realizes that the final confrontation has come upon them. He knows that Sasuke has made mistakes, and he fears what will happen if Sasuke learns the truth of what happened to Itachi. To that end, he programs Konoha to activate within the bird to entice Sasuke to protect the village when it next sees Itachi's eyes, because he assumes Sasuke will eventually take Itachi's eyes. Meeting with Naruto, one he had recognized had an intense brotherly love for Sasuke, he questions him on what he would do if Sasuke moved against the hidden leaf, and Naruto responds that he would defend the leaf and save Sasuke. Itachi's pleased and gives over the crow to Naruto, hoping that it will activate the moment he sees Sasuke within Itachi's eyes. Itachi then invites Sasuke to the final battle and waits in the Uchiha hideout, informing Kisame not to let anybody but Sasuke in. Eventually Sasuke would show up and Itachi and he would duel. Now for the most part, this duel remains the same. During the battle, Itachi is slowly overwhelmed with feelings. He's so proud of Sasuke, but at the same time he's dying inside because he never got the chance to watch him grow into the shinobi he was today. He laments the circumstances, curses the coup that his clan so mindlessly marched towards, and he curses Danzo for removing Shisui's eye. Itachi still believes in his heart that had that eye remained with Shisui, the battle would have never happened. As the battle progresses, he sees Sasuke growing tired. Itachi himself is growing tired, and he is also seemingly going blind from his overuse of the Mangekyo Sharingan. However, he continues to fight. Sasuke then calls upon the power of Orochimaru in a last-ditch effort to win, but Itachi uses his Susanoo's Sword of Totsuka to seal Orochimaru away. In the end though, Itachi had lost himself in the battle. This was not the outcome he had desired. He wanted to be killed by Sasuke, but instead he had unintentionally defeated Sasuke. Sasuke's defenseless. Itachi comes closer to him, surrounded by his Susanoo, and Sasuke prepares for his fate. Itachi stops there for a moment. As he looks down into his little brother's eyes, he's only filled with pride and joy. His love causes his heart to leap and jump, but there's still hollowness and pain. Itachi sees Sasuke stare daggers into him, as if hoping he could kill Itachi with a simple gaze, and suddenly that joy is gone. He's suddenly hit by every bad thing that he's ever done and said to Sasuke, and this brings the tears out. In that moment, Sasuke is stunned. His brother was crying? Why? He would remain silent. Itachi shook his head and spoke. "I can't do it anymore." "Can't do what?" Sasuke asked, the venom in his words present as they passed between clenched teeth. "I can't go on hurting you anymore." Itachi looks up and begins to tell him the truth. He already recognizes that Sasuke is going down a dark path and that there is no way he'll be a hero, not after what he's done. If he was lucky, killing Itachi and returning to the village would only even the status, and with Itachi dead, there'd be nothing to stop Danzo from killing Sasuke and ending the last Uchiha before they could create a new clan. His entire plan had fallen apart, and he had known this for a long time. It wasn't about Sasuke anymore, it had become about Itachi. Itachi wanted to die for his crimes, and he wanted Sasuke to be the executioner, but he was too weak, or should I say too strong, to let that happen. There was no way that Itachi could accomplish any of that now, not without revealing the truth. He begins to divulge everything to Sasuke, the truth about Konoha, the truth about the Uchiha, the truth about Danzo, and the truth about the massacre. He explains in fine detail why he had done what he had done to Sasuke, and what he had hoped would happen. Itachi is crying bitterly at this point, begging Sasuke to kill him, telling him he can't bear the guilt any longer. He grabs a discarded kunai and puts it into Sasuke's hand. "Kill me with it, please. Make me pay for what I've done. I don't want to live with it anymore." Sasuke can't believe what he's hearing. His mind can't comprehend it. He doesn't know what to do. Sasuke has spent so many years hunting and envisioning the death of Itachi by his hands, and now he doesn't know what to believe. A part of him thinks that this is some trick or a cruel prank, but the other half of him weighs the words and actions here. Why would he give him the ability to kill him if he had already won? Sasuke takes the kunai. You want to die so badly? Fine, I'll kill you. Sasuke stabs Itachi, however, this was a probing shot. Itachi never attempted to stop him, even though Sasuke had just drawn blood. Sasuke easily could have stabbed him in the throat or the heart, yet he let him do it. Was what he was saying perhaps right? Sasuke finally gave in and realized. He was suddenly so angry, but he didn't know where to put it. He began to brutally beat Itachi, but then he stopped. Itachi looked up to see Sasuke crying. "You fool, why didn't you tell me?" Sasuke and Itachi, for the first time in years, share a genuine hug. Still though, Sasuke begins to show hatred of Konoha, realizing it was they who had put Itachi in this position, and it was they who had killed the Uchiha clan. Itachi tells him not to think that way, as it was the same that the other Uchiha had thought, but Sasuke retorts that the Uchiha were angry because they had to move to a new part of town. Sasuke was angry because Konoha had ruined their lives and killed their friends and family. Itachi nods, but says that what he did, the pain he went through, was all in an effort to save the village. He explains how if the Uchiha had done what they had wanted, a new world war would have been launched, and everyone would have died, not just the Uchiha. So he manages to get Sasuke to reconsider. What does this mean here? Well, the main issue is that Sasuke doesn't awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, and Itachi by this time is mostly blind. He still has some juice in the tank, but for all intents and purposes, he's almost out of juice with his Mangekyo. That is, unless we cheese it here and just give Sasuke Mangekyo Sharingan. So before I do that, let me just say this. If Sasuke doesn't awaken his Mangekyo here, then the series is going to get a very poor ending. Itachi won't be able to help during the war or with pain. Sasuke could help with pain, but likely would be too weak to do anything during the war. And I'm pretty sure that you can't even awaken the Rinnegan without the Mangekyo Sharingan, as all previous users of it had Mangekyo, with Hagoromo not even being able to awaken it until he had awakened the Mangekyo when he thought he got Hamada killed. So Sasuke would be an utter waste unless Itachi sacrifices himself at some point in time to push Sasuke over the edge. So in that way, Itachi's death was needed because without it, Sasuke never gets the Mangekyo, and as a result becomes painfully weak by the end. But we're here for a little Itachi fan service, and because I can't say no to the prospect of a prime Itachi without the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, we're going to do it. So for BS purposes, we're going to say that the sudden death of Sasuke's future plans and the fact that he had almost killed his brother, alongside the fact that he had missed so much time and made so many mistakes to destroy Itachi only to realize it was for nothing, will say that Sasuke gets the Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi explains the strengths and weaknesses of it, and they return to the Akatsuki. The official story Itachi would tell would be that he had explained to Sasuke the truth behind the destruction of the Uchiha, and now they plan to work together with the Akatsuki, hoping to reach that goal. Together they would essentially trade eyeballs, and Itachi and Sasuke, I guess, gain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The next thing that happens is that Sasuke and his new team Taka are sent out to take the Eight Tails. Now, a part of me wants to think that Sasuke still wants revenge against Konoha, but only in a mild sense that he would kill those involved with it. That means Danzo and whoever's left of the council. Even still, Pain decides, you know what, I guess it's time to pay the leaf a village and see what's what. I am paraphrasing. So Pain goes to get the Nine Tails, which will obviously end with Pain destroying the place, and Itachi catches wind of this. So what do you think this old boy will do? Itachi sacrificed everything for the leaf and is now the greatest patriot in all of Konoha, so he's not going to let that happen. He would follow. With his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, we're going to see quite the show. He gets to the village just as the fun is starting and would appear. He'd let Pain know. Simultaneously, he'd let Sasuke know as well about what is going to go down, and that they should abandon their mission and flee the Akatsuki. Itachi would show up and enter a fight with the Paths of Pain on the side of Konoha. He has Kakashi there, who despite everything is willing to put aside his differences and help Itachi. Together, the two of them, along with many other members, begin to push these six paths back. They manage to hold tight until Naruto arrives, so let's do this. With so many powerful people, we'll say that these six paths will fight one-on-one. So let's see how well Itachi does against this. Will he clear, or will he totally get stomped? Let's start with the Asura path. This path was killed by Choji and could be obliterated by Itachi 3 ways to Sunday. Unless you're thinking Choji's stronger than Itachi, Itachi kicks its ass. The human path is useless in combat and is really just a glorified lie detector that kills you when you lie or tell the truth. It gets obliterated too because, as I said before, it's useless. Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, and yes, I do believe Pain can be hit with a genjutsu, Susanoo, it's all the same. Human path dies. The animal path is actually pretty dangerous as its whole gimmick is summoning. It can summon some pretty bad animals and even the other paths of Pain. If it did that, Itachi might be screwed, as while most of the paths are fodder alone, like the Naraka path that even Konohamaru managed to kill, Now, by the way, this is one of the first Itachi needs to kill because it can revive the other ones. However, if they all work together, their combat abilities skyrocket as they're designed to cover for each other's weaknesses. Essentially, Sasuke has it right. If you get Rinnegan, don't bother with making Six Paths puppets because that robs you of the power and makes it completely useless unless you plan to one-shot with numbers, which may not be as effective as you think. Just use shadow clones or something. It's a lot more logical than splitting up your powerful abilities into 6 weaker ones, but let's say, just for argument's sake, that even if it summons the other 6, that Itachi can just call his friends for help, or even face this one last. The other summons, the animal ones, can just be destroyed with spammed Amaterasu, such as Edo Tensei Itachi did against Nagato. This would probably work and allow Itachi to win. The Predapath can absorb chakra, which is tough. It was defeated by Naruto's Sage Chakra, turning it both into a frog and a statue. Probably Amaterasu would be absorbed. Susanoo would be absorbed. I'm not sure if a Genjutsu could be absorbed though. Anything physical could still hurt him. With enough help, Itachi could pull it off. Then comes the big boss, the Diva Path. With Chibaku Tensei, it's likely that Itachi cannot beat him. Not as it stands. He would need help to deal with that. Now, if I were to add, say, the Yada Mirror to Itachi's Susanoo, well, Zetsu calls it an absolute defense. I'm not talking about how all Susanoos are called that, I mean it is a literal absolute defense. I can only think of one thing that could possibly destroy it, and Pain doesn't have it. Essentially, attacking the Yada Mirror is like attacking a Wobbuffet holding a focus sash. You're not going to destroy it, and you're only going to end up having everything reflected because, well, it's a mirror. But let's just stop for a second and think Itachi gets pulled into a Chibaku Tensei. That attack, as well as the Shinra Tensei, are omnidirectional attacks and can likely make it around the Yada Mirror, which only has a single side to it. What would that mean for Itachi? Well, his Susanoo could take Kirin, so I assume that it should be able to take Shinra Tensei, but Chibaku Tensei is a whole other can of beans. Chibaku Tensei could surround Itachi and trap him in the middle like it did Naruto. Could Itachi escape this? Well, it depends on if his Susanoo is stronger than the Eight-Tails Kurama, because personally, I think it is. Firstly, Kurama is both halved in power, because it was split between Naruto and Minato, and secondly, the one that escaped was not full power Kurama. Itachi, on the other hand, went toe-to-toe against Nine-Tails Chakra Mode Naruto without breaking a sweat, and in this form we know that Naruto was stronger than the Eight-Tailed partial transformation. Unless Itachi's Susanoo is weaker than Itachi himself, it seems highly likely that Itachi can escape this. And as for beating the Diva Path, Itachi could likely do it. And even if he couldn't, the Sword of Totsuka can, seal it away. So in conclusion, yes, I do believe that Itachi could beat each of the Paths of Pain in a one-on-one. Now, due to Itachi showing up here before everything goes down, Tsunade doesn't go comatose on us. She survives to Hokage another day. Of course, the 5 Kage summit still occurs, and while that occurs, Sasuke returns to the Leaf. He would be here to kill Danzo and the council members, but nope, Naruto still has that crow, and technically Sasuke has Itachi's eyes now. The crow casts Konoha Tsukami and totally cures Sasuke of his hatred of the village. I mean, I'm sure Itachi would hate just taking Sasuke's will away like that, but then again, he killed his entire village because they were gonna do the same as Sasuke, so this is sort of a mercy. The 5 Kage summit goes swimmingly, with the only difference being that Sasuke doesn't show up and it is Tsunade there, not Danzo. Toby still declares World War IV, so that'll happen. So how much of this does change afterwards? Well, most of it really just stays the same. Naruto still gets sent away and comes back when he detects the fighting. Itachi and Sasuke are together, and due to saving the village as well as Tsunade's investigations and declarations of what all happened, Itachi would be vindicated and Sasuke would be forgiven as well, and both are allowed back in the village. The war goes down, and well, Itachi just kicks ass all the way up until the final confrontation. Are you gonna tell me that it doesn't go down? I went down this way anyway when Itachi was dead, so how much more will change now that they have a big powerhouse here? But let's move on, shall we? I really like just talking about these big battles. So how would Itachi fare against, let's say, Obito Uchiha? Well, the answer is not well. If we look at the abilities that Itachi has compared to what Obito has, Itachi can't win. You see, Itachi can use Susanoo, and he can use Tsukiyomi, and he can use Amaterasu. But not only can Obito use all of these 6 paths techniques, he also has Kamui, and Kamui is a game changer. It's another absolute defense because it doesn't even exist in this world. It only appears to. I don't care if he's using Susanoo with the Yada Mirror, Obito is just going through it. There's no way that Itachi can win unless he pulls a Minato and manages to get the idea about 0.5 seconds before the clash and gets some miracle blow on him, which is unlikely. It's a good thing that Kakashi survives to this point because without him, everybody dies. They can beat Obito, but only as a team with the ace up their sleeve being Kakashi. Moving on, what about Six Paths Obito? He stops using Kamui, right? Yeah, he does, and even if we limit him from doing that, he still destroys Itachi. Do you know why? Well, remember a while back when I said that only one thing could destroy the Yada Mirror? Yeah, well, Obito has that right now. In one of the Naruto data books, I forget which one, it has a statement about the Yada Mirror stating its composition is similar to that of the truth-seeking balls. It contains all the basic chakra natures on top of yin and yang release. It's basically a big truth-seeking ball shield, and that can be shattered by sage energy, which Obito now has in abundance, so he will not be using that. Tsukiyomi? Sasuke could break that, and Obito is every bit the Uchiha he was. Amaterasu? Obito has regeneration, and he has Shinra Tensei, which can be used to blow the Amaterasu off just like Nagato did. Now, the only thing I can think of is that he could use the Blade of Totsuka. But then again, I'm not quite sure of the limitation of this thing. Could it just seal anyone regardless of power? If so, move over Goku, cause Itachi about to solo your whole verse. If not though, Itachi has about the same chance of winning as a dog fart does against the wind. I'm sorry, that last analogy was a bit vulgar, forgive me. Southern idioms be like that sometimes. So we really require some talk no jutsu for this one. Now for Madara, Itachi only has a chance with that Hax Yada Mirror and the Blade of Totsuka. Madara is just on a whole other level here. The only reason why Madara doesn't blitz him is because he doesn't have the sage energy required to. Well, never mind, Madara solos. Itachi versus Ten Tails Jinchuriki Madara. Do I even need to say it? If Itachi doesn't beat base Madara, what makes you think he'll beat a powered up version? Kage Otsutsuki, the only chance he has is Blade of Totsuka, which he's likely slow to use. Well, this is just becoming a versus battle scale here. What could I say, I just sort of fell into it. The story largely remains the same after this, as Itachi will just become a threesome with Naruto and Sasuke, and they'll solo everyone if they all fight together. But if I were to give you some more plot details, let's see where this goes. Itachi would likely, after the battle with Pain, visit the Uchiha compound where he contemplates his sins. He would be approached by Kakashi, who would start to talk with him about his missions. This probably isn't the time to mention the worse than trash speech that Kakashi does, as Itachi most definitely chose the mission over his friends, though I guess you can argue that by saving Sasuke he actually stood by his friends as he limited the damage. Hashirama Senju definitely thought Itachi was a better shinobi than he was, so I guess Kakashi's opinion on this doesn't much matter, but regardless the two reconnect and catch up after everything. They joke about, and Itachi apologizes for shredding Kakashi's mind with the Tsukiyomi 3 years back. You know Kakashi though, it's all water under the bridge, but peace doesn't last long. The 4th Shinobi World War is up, and Itachi is called in to fight. He and Sasuke are a powerhouse right now. The issue with this is that they probably wouldn't know where Kabuto is, which means they can't really call off the Ito Tensei. They'd need to defeat them all instead of just shutting down the jutsu. This also means that since Orochimaru doesn't revive, Naruto never gets the second half of Kurama, and the other Hokage never revive. This is actually a bit of a game changer, as that means that the moment Madara goes to become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, Naruto will die. That's not a good thing for the story given how it plays out. Now, of course, we still have big players like Danzo here, so for all intents and purposes, let's say that Naruto is saved from death by the Izanagi. I don't actually know if this will help him survive without Kurama, but if it does, he'll definitely get 6-path Sage Mode, and Sasuke will get Susanoo. Naruto would have gotten far weaker without Kurama, but if Naruto, Sasuke, and Itachi work together, Itachi might be able to make up the difference. A part of me wants to believe that they just get together inside of Sasuke's Susanoo, and that Itachi then covers Sasuke's Susanoo with his own, and that Naruto adds Sage Chakra like they did with Jugo. In the end, Madara still gets turned into Kaguya, where he attempts to perform the Tsukiyomi. They would all fight against her in the alternate dimensions, and of course Obito still dies, but Kakashi still gets the double Mangekyo Sharingan, and that results in us seeing Kaguya fighting against Naruto and Sasuke, who are both trying to play a deadly game of tag, with 2 Susanoo dropping down on her, and Sakura being somewhere in there. All in all, as strong as Kaguya is, I still think she'll be slowed enough by the extra Susanoo in the picture to be tagged and defeated. Now, with her being defeated, we move on to our next set of issues. First off, I wonder if Naruto will re-seal Kurama into him. By this time, Kurama will have befriended Naruto. Naruto likely wouldn't want to re-seal him, as he would want Kurama to be free. But what happens, say, if Kurama uses his freedom to choose to be sealed back into Naruto? Well, then we get back on course. Itachi would likely remain on Earth during the whole last movie arc. Sasuke, on the other hand, might end up following Naruto to fight Toneri. But of course, what happens when that big meteorite's coming down and Rock Lee and his ninja pals only destroy half of it? Well, if he's sticking close to Kakashi and the Kage, then he'll likely be right in the path of the meteorite. Yada Mirror. I know I'm spamming that thing every time Itachi has a problem, but that's because it's just so darn useful. Itachi uses the mirror. In the end, the threat is defeated with or without Itachi. When Momoshiki and Ishiki arrive, Itachi's there too. He'd likely be able to help Naruto and Sasuke defeat Momoshiki after he's powered up and stops the Otsutsuki from defeating Naruto. Now, what is it that Itachi's doing in this era? Well, I assume that while Naruto's Hokage, Sasuke would be the Shadow Hokage. It is a shame that Itachi never gets to be the Hokage, but he's okay with that, believing Naruto to be the perfect fit and the most worthy anyway. Itachi though? He ends up becoming the director of Anbu instead of Sai. Now, when Ishiki shows up, things are a bit tougher. Even with Baryon mode, Naruto will be less powerful than before, but at the same time, power wasn't what beat Ishiki, it was hacks. This means that Ishiki's time would still run out early, but the downside of that would be that Naruto needs to use his own chakra for fuel to make it last that long, which would result in Naruto's untimely death. And guess what? Rock Lee becomes Hokage. No, but I can dream though, right? Now, with Naruto being dead, it seems that they will need a new Kage, and I would believe that Itachi is a good choice. He's powerful, intelligent, and has always been wise enough to see things as they are, and strong enough to see things through. And the code arc. Well, yeah, Boruto pulled that out with Kawaki anyway, so nothing there changes. At least, this is what I think would happen. What do you think? Tell us in the comments below. Boy, that was long, but it was just so satisfying. I lost myself for a moment there in the scales and forgot I was telling you a story instead of just giving you matchups. I'm sorry about that, but hey, I hope you enjoyed that too. If you did, be sure to show us that appreciation with a thumbs up and a subscription if you haven't already. Be sure to ring that bell if you wish to be notified when we drop new content like this. Peace.